Hello everybody. Today is a gorgeous Melbourne morning and I thought, look, I have to get up and I have to do some things this morning. So let's get going. Now, I'm sorry about my patchy sore face, but anyway, my skin does not love me at the moment. Anyway, I'm going to open up the kiln because what's in here is a bisque firing. So for anyone that doesn't know, that means it's first firing. So it's basically just to get the water out, dry it out and everything so that we can put the glaze on and we can get it all ready. So in my kiln, the temperature has gone down. You really want it to be 200 degrees or less to be able to open the door and get the pieces out. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. These have been fired to 1050 degrees Celsius. So let's open them up and then we can glaze the pieces and then we can get them ready for their next firing. So I'm super excited to be able to actually do this, and I can definitely feel the warmth from here. And anyway, I will show you what it looks like. Now, I don't know whether you can see this, but on this thing here, the 0 means 0 degrees, 2 means 200, and it's about 180 degrees Celsius. So, but we do have a special infrared that we can use and double check on that one. Now we have opened up the kiln and in my hand I have a special infrared. So if I'm basically just shining it on the pieces here, it's going to tell you roughly what it is. So it's saying roughly 164. So you can see 163.6 degrees Celsius. So obviously that's too hot to grab out with my hands. So I've just moved the door open. We'll let it just cool naturally itself a little bit, but let's just go and take a closer look at some of these pieces. And I'm super excited to be able to get these ones out, to be able to glaze them. And you can touch with your hands, but I can feel that super hot. So obviously I'm not going to pick that up. So anyway, we're going to leave this for a little bit. We will come back and then I'll glaze it. So, but before we do that, I'm going to show you a couple glazed things that I've already glazed and how I glaze mine. And we will see your thoughts on that one. So let's go over to the other table. Now, this is the little glazing table, and so basically it's just my desk and then I just wipe it down. So in here we've got one of these, and this is how I literally mix up this bucket. And inside this bucket, even though it says stoneware, it's not. On here, this is the glaze that we're using, which is ETB 5381.5, and it's the clear super gloss. But now this one here only goes up to 1220 Celsius degrees. So this degrees means to do with your clay. So if you have stoneware, this is not going to be appropriate for stoneware, but you can use this for mid-fire and you can definitely use it for urbanware. Now, I found that it suits urbanware well, but what I wanted to show you is this. So we've got this one here. Now, this has been dip glazed, and I will just sort of wipe that down and later on, and you can scrape the edge off so that the glaze, you want it all to be about the same thickness. Now, that will go into the kiln, and this one will be perfect. So what's going to happen is that one will make it super glossy, and I've already got some of these ones out of the kiln from the last go. So let me grab it, and I will show you what that one is first. Now, that's what this one is. It is a really cute little tiny chubby vase, and I've just hand painted strawberries on. These ones also have the hand painted berries on, and they're super cute. Now, the good thing about this one is what happened is I actually figured out my kiln, because my kiln is old and it's taken a lot of time to understand the temperature device on it, because it has two devices. The one on the front does not work. It is all wrong, and the one on the side that I showed before is the right one. But the one on the front is the dial that we actually turn to get the temperature. So it's quite tricky. Anyway, and it's all manual. So what actually happened was this one here, we got the bisque to be perfect. Now, if the bisque is not hot enough, I'm going to show you this. Now, I actually dip glaze this in the same dip glaze. Now, can you see how it's cracking? And basically here, it has not even adhered to the edge. If you can kind of see this, if I push this, it literally just cracks along the edge. And if you see that, it's just going to literally fall off. Now, often this happens because the bisque can't absorb everything. And this took about 24 hours to dry, whereas these ones take literally 20 seconds. Should not take 20 hours or even 1 hour to dry, you know, a glaze onto a bisqueware pot. So anyway, this one is no good. I could pull all the glaze off, which I'll probably do. Let it dry out. It's going to take a while to dry out. You can wash it again because it's already bisque. So, but then it would have to be bisquified again. So it's a bit of a headache. But anyway, that's just a little bit about that. And, you know, look, sometimes you get air bubbles and things like that. And if you do that, you just need to rub the glaze. So if we've got this little mushroom, all I'm going to do is, if you just sort of rub your hands along here, seal that up, then that's fine to glaze. Sometimes it just happens if I've over mixed the glaze because I use a dipping glaze on these ones. If you brush on, you don't need to worry too much about this. You won't really get many air bubbles, but it's much cheaper to dip glaze. That's why people do it. So this bucket was like $70 of glaze. You know, so, and I've had it for quite some time. So, you know, if you're using something like that, much cheaper to use compared to one of the containers, you know, for like 500 mils or something like that, that's like $22. And this is 60 for like 10 liters. So, you know, hence the price. You can tell it's much cheaper. Anyway, it's like half the price or less. Doing it that way. So that's why you'll see lots of people do it that way. But anyway, that's just a little tip on the glazing. But I'm going to go inside. I'm going to organize my studio in there. And then we're going to come back. And of course, we're going to take everything out of the kiln. We're going to pop it on the bench here when it's, you know, once it's a better temperature. And then we will actually dip glaze this and get them ready to go back in the kiln to be fired again. So anyway, I will bring you back when we're up to that. All right, it is time now to do some glazing and clean some things up. So I've already, a couple of them which I showed you earlier, we've already done. So I want to just get some water, which I've got just behind the counter. Let me grab that. We'll just pop this here. So for this one here, what we want to do is we literally just want to turn this one upside down, and we want to wipe the bottoms so that I can put this in the kiln. So generally this is what I kind of do. I'll just kind of like wipe everything off, clean it off, and then pop it in the kiln. And we do want to wipe this edge because if we don't, this is 100% going to stick in the kiln. Now what you can also do is just put like even just a broken product underneath this in the kiln, so then the glazing is not going to go crazy everywhere. So now can you see how that did that in my hand? So you kind of have to be a bit careful. I might just patch that up. Usually what I'll do is just dip my hand into the container or a brush and we can do that. But this glaze is quite thick, so let me grab something. Just going to mix this little bucket up a bit. Anyway, we won't put this in the kiln now. I'm just going to set it aside because I do have this bucket here. Let me just show you what we're going to do. Now, I'm sorry for the flashing, but because we're in here and there's lights in here. So inside here, we want to just basically use this, mix this around. We want to really give it the most thorough mix I can possibly mix. So if you can see that, the bits that are too thick, because they stick on the bottom. So you can also get a device with, you know, and put it on the end of a drill. You can get it from your local store, and basically it's going to mix it up. I think you get that in like where the concrete and stuff like that is section. I don't have one of those, so this works just as well. It just means that it's going to take longer. The other tool would honestly take you 20 seconds. This might take a minute. So once we've mixed all this up, we can just get organized. But it's definitely much easier because I do a lot of clear glazing. Because I'm hand painting them, I do a clear glaze. And the one thing that I have definitely learnt along my travels is, you know, if a clay's not working or a glaze is not working, you need to change either the clay or the glaze. And I have definitely found that I've really struggled, especially with the slip casting clay, to get the glaze right. And this is my favourite glaze because it's super shiny. Anyway, let's mix it up. It's pretty good, so you can see nothing's sort of sticking. If things are sticking, keep mixing it. You can also use like an egg beater, you know, like an electric mixer as well. That's something you can do. Anyway, that is pretty good. And I'm going to pop this into my container. That's why I have the other one. Now, I do just have this little brush, and I'll just dip that in there, and then I'm just going to literally just tap it on the top. You know, nothing too drastic. Only needs a little bit, and then I will let this set, and then I'll wipe that off. So then that one's all good. Now, I also did these ones yesterday, so we want to wipe the bottoms off these, and we can put them in the kiln. So let's just give these a wipe. Also, once I give them a wipe, I'm actually not going to like turn the kiln straight on, because remember, this bisque that I'm wiping, this is now wet. So, you know, you don't want to just turn the kiln on when there's actually wet products in there. So otherwise they're going to dry a bit more and so on. So anyway, I just let them dry a little bit. And this is pretty much my process, but sometimes I'll actually have things pre-done. Today I don't have them pre-done. Obviously want to wipe them off here. And then I will show you what we can actually do, just to try and make sure that nothing in this firing is going to stick, because even these little bits here can stick to the kiln. So, and can you see this little bit here sticking up? You can, we can file that down later. Anyway, so we've got this, and now what we can do, which I'm going to show you. So if you have broken bits of bisque, this can literally just sit under that. So then it's going to drip over that, and it's not going to go straight and stick onto the bottom shelf, if that kind of makes sense. So I'm going to pop some of these into the kiln. And can you see this little bit here? Just rub over with your hand, just to make sure that that bit's going to get glaze on it too. And that should be fine. So I've got the first mug, and now what I'm going to do is use my little plastic cup. I am literally putting some in the mug first, and then I'm just going to hold the mug and literally do this, which basically it's just going to allow me to not touch the bottom too much, because I really don't want to have too much glaze and have to do more work. So if you can see now, it's pretty perfect, isn't it? We can do that. Then we can literally dunk it straight that way. That's literally what I'm going to do. So I'm going to hold super tight on the bottom. Just pop it in. Pull it out. You got to hold it super tight. I almost let go of it then. And then the only thing I've got to fix up is the tiny bit at the bottom where my hand is. So we will put this down to dry. And we will keep going. I kind of feel like we need some more water, so I'm just going to add a bit more water into my glaze. Hello everyone. It is the next day. I did open the kiln and sneak and take a look, which I should not have, because then I created what is thermal shock on one of them when I took it out, because I couldn't wait. So you can see on here, this is my little dial. I know it's old fashioned, but if you see the 2, that means that's like 200 degrees. So usually around the 200 you're okay, but I probably opened it at 400 because I have zero patience And this came off one of them. Now, this little bubble you can see here, this is actually the clear glaze. Now, having a look, I wanted to cry this morning because the glaze is too thick, and I knew it was, but me being me, I did not scrape it off. I just thought, we'll see how it goes. And this is the thing, I never do one test. I just put everything in and hope for the best. My husband said, what are you doing that for? But anyway, that is typical me. And I have zero patience. So we will have a sneak. This is what they look like. They do look beautiful, but they're definitely going to need, you know, some work on the bottom. Now, if you can see here, the cookie that I put here, when I say cookie, I mean, it's, you know, and look, I've got to show you this before we go. Look at all that. That definitely needs sanding down. And that means is the, you know, my, which we'll show you over here. So this is, you know, my glaze. It was too thick. I've definitely thinned this down now. And then I've scraped these ones down for the next firing. And this one here, I took out of the firing. And I've put an extra bit of glaze on it because it needed some. Now, can you see this little line, this little cut? That is thermal shock. So we'll see if I can fix it by firing it again, but we will see. But that's what happens when you cannot wait and you take it out early. So don't take it out early, my friends. Around the 200 or under is fine. But yeah, so that is it for today. At the end of this video, I definitely am going to show you all of the pieces. We'll take them out and I will show you what we're going to do next. So now I have taken lots of the pieces out. They are looking super duper fabulous. The only thing I will say is I decided, because my kiln was old, to use earthenware. Now earthenware is this bone color. It's not beautiful and white like these ones here. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to go back to mid-fire because I really do prefer the white look. So, but these are just a few that have come out. These ones look super cute, don't they? This one is actually, so this little one here is, I think it's mid-fire actually as well. And yeah, so you'll see lots of the ones where you can tell when they're mid-fire, they're much more whiter. And then you go to this bone kind of color, which I know the camera makes it look white, but it's actually not. But anyway, they do look beautiful. I'm really proud of them. You know, and it's a learning curve. I'm not saying they're the best in the world yet, but we will get better and better as we go along, won't we? So, and this one here is also mid-fire. So just a little cute one. I've actually added some speckles, probably a bit too many, but that's okay. So anyway, that is my glazing for today. There are a few duds. You can see there's lots of crawling, which means the glaze has moved away from the plate, and a bit of cracking. And the reason for this one here actually for being the problem is honestly it's not the right glaze for this particular product, but we will get there. We are getting there, and sometimes things are not going to work and other times they do. So I'm going to see you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, give me a thumbs up if you like, and we're going to see you some fun and some smiles on the next one. Bye.